Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do a little bit of a room tour and talk about selling your baby snakes. So guys, like I said, welcome back to the channel. It's great to see you once again. Today we're going to talk about selling your baby snakes and also do a quick room tour. When it comes to selling your baby snakes, guys, it's not as easy as you may think. There's lots of things to consider while still trying to stay a responsible breeder stroke seller. It's not just as simple as taking money off someone, giving them a snake and off they pop. In this hobby it doesn't quite work like that. There's a lot of aftercare involved and a lot of we've got to make sure people are clued up on what they're getting themselves into. Snakes are, they can be a lifetime long time sort of commitment. 25-30 years some of these animals can sort of live for, so it is a lot of consideration needed if you want to take home one of my snakes at the very least. So let's take a quick look at the room. Have made some adjustments, only tiny ones, but we'll have a look and see what's going on. I'll sort of explain everything that I'm doing, and then we'll talk about selling your baby snakes. So guys, we're going to start off with Venom's tank. Venom's doing really well. He's hiding at the moment, but he sort of goes there as you walk in on the left. As I said, as you come in through the door on your left, we have Venom's tank. Coming on from that, guys, we have the 40 tub LP hatchling rack. It's done me a good turn. It's not the best rack in terms of especially up here, it's really sort of bendy. It doesn't sort of sit straight, and I couldn't get it to sit straight, so I had to make a few adjustments to get it straight and make sure that the tubs were nice and easy to slide in and out. But other than that, it looks the part. It does what it's supposed to do, I suppose. It's just me being a bit picky with how I like my things. Coming down, the incubator is actually underneath the LP rack, and sorry about the mess, guys. We just have sort of an air, not an air con unit, but it's an air blower thing with a humidifier and air purifier there. Coming across, we have the newest rack in the room. That is a V35 and a V18 combo alu rack. Really liking this rack. It's what I plan to change out all the racks to. Really well. That's the clown female in the no rack. This is the pastel clown female in there. Lighting's not great, guys, because we've got the sun blaring through. I have put a few males into here as well. We've got the pastel lesser entry male. I do need to close that blind, which I'll do in a second. Otherwise that rack will get pretty hot pretty soon. So we have the LP rack there, the alu rack there, just below the sticker board, and the rainforest that I've bought in from outside. Coming across, we have the Freedom Breeder 10 high V70 rack. Now this is it's really old school type of Freedom Breeder. It's a really old one, but again, does exactly what it's supposed to do. We have a big pinstripe female in there, with loads of room. Good rack that is, and that's controlled with this thermostat. To be fair, I've never heard of it, but it came with the rack and it's been doing really well, so I haven't changed it. And then we come up to the 10 high DTP, I think some people call it a JCP now, rack in the middle. These are 33 litre rubs. These are really sort of cool for males as well. Coming across here, we have the 6 high homemade rack, and that again holds 33 litre rubs. I've got a couple of dividers in there. She's done a poo, need to change her out. We have a couple of snakes in there, the leopard pinstripe het pied and the sterling calico. I'll change them out here in a minute. We also have the Super Mojave female there as well, looking absolutely stunning. So that's done me really well, guys. That really holds the heat very well. Coming across here, we have this 12 tub, I think it's a Monkfield hatchling rack. This was sort of a panic buy with this rack. I sort of run out of space in the 40 tub rack because obviously I produced quite a few animals. So I ran out and just picked this up for the 12 babies that I needed extra housing for. It works really well. I won't be using it long term. It's just sort of a panic buy. But now, as it is, you know, now a lot of my animals have gone. I do have rack space in the other rack. So coming across here, guys, this is the homemade rack using the IKEA tubs. This one's empty. Holds heat lovely. So in here we have sort of animals that are a little bit too big for the V18s. A nice pied female in there. Should be upgrading soon. So down there we just have some storage. This was on the floor, if you noticed in my last video. I wanted to raise it off the floor, just obviously so those bottom tubs don't cool down more than they should, obviously because they're closer to the ground. So I nicked one of the wife's sort of units, put it on there, which is cool because it's sort of storage as well, which is awesome. Then here we have my trolley. Excuse the mess underneath there. My wife was cleaning out the kitchen and sort of realised that I bought loads and loads of kitchen roll, so she sort of dumped it in my room. So thank you for that, love. Appreciate it. But this is really cool. You see a lot of Americans, a lot of American breeders with sort of trolleys like this. It's on wheels. Again, some storage at the bottom. Also, what I use it for is, you know, I'll move it to whatever rack I want to move it to do cleaning. Put tubs on top and disinfect tubs. Also take some pictures on there, some snakes. And it's really good for when obviously I'm sitting down doing some videos on my little stool with that as the background. You know, the camera rests on top of there on the tripod, and I get sort of a nice sort of eye level camera. So that's pretty much the room, guys. Not major changes. This room will look completely different come end of the year when I do upgrade my racks to all the alley racks. And I do need to find places for the bits and bobs that I have here. But I'm really pleased with it. It's my little haven. Absolutely love spending time in here, much to the wife's disappointment. But I think she'd rather me in here than down the pub. I'm pretty sure she would anyway. But that's my little collection, guys. That's my setup. It does me wonders. Really happy with it. So guys, selling your baby snakes. Now, it's not, like I said, just a really easy thing to do. In terms of, yes, it is easy to take some cash and give your snake that you've worked so hard to produce over to anyone. When it comes to me, guys, I'm a little bit picky, not too picky, but you've got to sort of demonstrate to me, even for a phone call or a text message, that you're at least half adequate to take care of one of my animals. As I've said 100 times before, it's not about the money with me. I'd be quite happy to keep everything. I really would, hand on heart, really would. The wife might not let me do that, but I really don't mind doing that. Now, when people contact me to purchase a snake, there's a couple of questions that I ask, and a couple of questions only, really. And that is, you know, is it your first snake, or do you have any already? And what enclosure are you planning to put this animal into? Bearing in mind, these are babies, these are hatchlings, these are anywhere from 100 to 150 gram babies that have lived their life in a V18 tub in a rack system. For example, I had one guy contact me and ask me to buy one of the animals. It was a present for his son, I think, who's had snakes before. And it was all going quite well, quite positive, until I asked the question, what enclosure is he going into? He replied with a 3-foot vivarium, which obviously raises alarm bells straight away. Guys, you do not want to put a brand new hatchling ball python into a 3-foot vivarium. You will have trouble from the start, unless that particular animal is an exception to the rule. For the most part, that animal is going to stress out, it's going to not eat, it's going to go downhill very, very quickly in my experience and what I've seen. You want to sort of replicate, at least for the first part of its life, what it's been kept in already. So tubs are really great, and I know people don't like tubs, and I know people don't like vivariums, and there's that whole tub versus viv sort of debate that goes on. But just for the first part of its life, just so it gets on a bit more extra weight, you really should keep them in tubs if they've been kept in tubs before, just for a little while, just to get a few more feeds, get them more established in its new environment, under your routine, under your care, because although the fundamentals might be the same, your care might be completely different to me. The time of days you feed, what you feed, how you feed, it could all have negative or positive effects on that baby. So let's take away the first thing that we know is going to stress it out, which will be being put in too big of an enclosure. So there's lots of different places where we can sort of sell our animals, lots of places where we can advertise them. In the UK, there's sort of websites like Pre-Loved, or there's like Gumtree or Pets for Homes. They're the sort of domestic sort of ones we have here. Sort of like a Craigslist, I suppose, but obviously in the UK. Obviously there's Morph Market, and I think people are more leaning towards buying through Morph Market because obviously they have a few more stricter sort of guidelines that breeders need to follow, which is a great thing, don't get me wrong. But some people, do buy through sort of sites like Pre-Loved here in the UK. I certainly sell through it. If I'm honest, the majority of people that do message me through Pre-Loved are complete time wasters, are complete people that just want to send you abuse for some reason. I get messages of abuse for whatever reason, which is absolutely ridiculous. Someone will say, hi, is this still available? I'll reply with, hiya, yes it is. And then the next sort of responses I'd expect is, can I come and see it, or what's it feeding on? But instead I get responses like, does it taste good? You kill snakes and you're a snake killer, and stupid things like that. But you don't sort of get that through the likes of Morph Market, which is why a lot of people sort of now tend to stay clear of the sites like Pre-Loved and Gumtree and things like that. I do still sell on there. I do quite well on there. A lot of people come through and are not time wasters and are genuine people. That's the sort of people I like. I don't mind people asking me questions and then deciding they don't want one of my animals. That's absolutely fine. That's part of it. But you don't want sort of abuse and just people being complete idiots for no apparent reason. So when you're looking to buy a ball python, obviously make sure that you're going through the proper channels if you can. And when you're selling, guys, if this is your first season and you have babies to sell for the first time, one thing that you want to make sure before that baby leaves you is that it's feeding very well, it's established. I sort of go by the rule of at least 5 strike feeds. So for example, if I have a snake that is strike feeds twice, then refuses but it will drop feed, I start the process again. That's what I normally do, and then I want 5 consecutive strike feeds from that baby before I advertise it for sale, or at least before I let it go. I may well take a deposit if someone really wants it, but I'll always say it has to have 5 consecutive strike feeds. That way I know when it's left me, it's it's eating perfectly, it's established, it's grown on a bit. Obviously getting 5 to 10 mils in a baby snake can drastically change the size of it from when it comes out of the egg. You'll be very surprised. I tend to let my snakes go anywhere between sort of 100-150 grams, there or thereabouts. But you might find it hard to get your animal eating. What do you do if your animal doesn't want to eat? Now there's lots of methods you can do. The first thing I'd do is obviously do your research. Watch as many videos as you can, read as many books or articles or blogs or anything like that as much as you can. There is sort of things like assist feeding, where I've had to do it many times. It's sort of a natural thing to do. It's not something you want to do if it's your first time. You want to always attach yourself to someone who knows what they're doing and is sort of confident to sort of show you and sort of teach you how to do it. I'm actually going to see someone to show them how to sex baby snakes using the popping method, which is fantastic. It's a credit to that person. He's reaching out to someone with a bit of experience before he tries it himself, and that's what you sort of need to sort of do and look out for. Obviously you want to make sure that you sex it correctly. You don't want to sell an animal for a certain price and pass it off as a female if it's a male. I've done it before back in my early days. Sometimes when you pop a snake, especially on a male, sometimes the hemipenes don't come out or only come out tiny, and you can really confuse it for a female, and I found that out the hard way. So make sure you obviously properly sex the animal. But the main probably thing is IDing the animal. Now, IDing the animal might sound like an easy thing to do, and it is an easy thing to do if you're only working with a couple of genes. But when you're working with 3 or 4 genes on the mother's side and 3 or 4 genes on the father's side, and they're all mixed and mashed, it's a minefield. It really is. And even the best breeders in the world will say to you, and on the websites, is that IDs of the snakes are basically their best guess. They're sort of guessing or assuming what's in there from the traits they can see. Sometimes a certain gene can block out another gene or make it less subtle, make the colour different, or make the pattern do something else, and that can confuse people. So the best thing you can do is just be open and honest about IDing your animal. If you think it's got pastel in it but you're not sure, don't sell it as a pastel. Sell it as a blah 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 possible pastel, etc. That way you're not going to get an upset customer coming back to you saying, you said it was a pastel, it's not a pastel, give me my money back and give me another animal and things. You want to avoid that. The ideal goal, or my ideal goal, is to sell an animal, a healthy animal that's feeding, a healthy animal that is sexed correctly and ID correctly. That way you can continue your aftercare with any questions and advice that you can give. What you don't want is to sell an animal for a price that it shouldn't have been because the sex was wrong or because genes were wrong, and that combo is something else other than you've described and sold it as. And then you're going to get a customer that's really sort of angry, and you don't want to sort of upset people because it's just not worth it coming to your door and sort of bringing trouble over a snake. So just don't try and sell it off as something it isn't just to get a few extra quid. It's really not worth it. Sell it for what you believe it is. If it turns out being something extra for that buyer, that's what it is. If it turns out not being it, at least you've been honest, and no one can say a thing about it. So guys, the final bit of advice I want to give about selling your baby snakes is pricing. Now, my good friend Gavin over at Balls to You done a great video a while back now. It's quite a while ago. I'm sure if you go and subscribe to him, I'll leave his details down below, you can go and find that animal. And that's about price matching. Now, price matching is probably the direct reason for the market crashing, the ball python market crashing, or if not the reason. Now, if you see a snake that you like on one website, and let's say a number, for example, that is £200, okay? You then go to another website and see it for £150, okay? Which one are you going to buy? Most probably the £150 one because it's cheaper. That person selling that snake for 200 is now going to think, oh no, I'm overpricing this, I've got to drop to 150. And he drops to 150, okay? The next person looks online to see how much he should sell his snake for, and it's the same one, and they're selling for 150, he can see. Okay, I'll sell mine for 150. The original 150 now wants 125 for it because he wants a quick sale. This person thinks, oh no, it's for 125, that must be what they're worth. I'll drop it to 125. And you can see the sort of devastating pattern it has. Now, what you need to realise, guys, is you put all these effort into these animals, from breeding them, from pairing to breeding to conditioning to incubation to feeding, the money it costs you to feed, the extra electricity bill, the time. That's probably the most important thing, your time. It could be time away from your kids, time away from your families. When you add it up throughout the week, it's a lot of time you're spending in your snake room. I know it is for me anyway. So when you get your animal, yes, there's going to be a base price for certain morphs, okay, and certain combos. But you price that how you want to price it. Okay, a good tool is Morph Market. Look on Morph Market. That gives you a sort of broader idea because you've got all the big boys on there, and they sort of know the market, and you sort of get a general idea of how much a certain combo could be. But you know, if you're pricing an animal between 20 and 30 pounds either side of what the average is, that's perfect, isn't it? Just don't be too inclined to sell it for a cheap price because that's what you think they're worth because other people are selling it for that. That's not what you should do whatsoever. So guys, there we go. A bit of information about selling your baby snakes, but the most important thing is don't be in a rush to sell them. Make sure they've got enough feeds in them, make sure they're healthy, make sure your customer's going to get a healthy animal rather than opposed to an animal that's not eating with health issues just so you can fill your wallet. That's not what this is about, guys. If that's what you think this is about, I'm going to tell you now, you're in the wrong hobby, you're in the wrong game. First and foremost, before any paycheck, the welfare of these animals is absolute paramount. It really, really is. It really is. So guys, just be careful when you're selling, and guys, just be careful when you're buying as well, because the buyer's got to take all these things into consideration, because if they see these animals not being cared for by a breeder, not being kept at the right temperature, not feeding well, then you're not going to want to buy from them. It sort of works the same. So do your research, guys. Make sure you're happy and confident with what you've learned about the breeder, about the species, and about the care. Really 3 important factors to consider when buying a ball python. Guys, thanks ever so much for watching. Thanks for spending your time watching my video. It's really appreciated. Do me a favour, click that button right there. That's going to let you subscribe to my channel. Also make sure you hit the notification bell as well, and check out one of these videos, if not both, if you want to watch some more content from me. So guys, thanks for watching. I'm going to see you very, very soon.